I'm going to start out with a question that was on my mind, especially through the COVID. Did you know, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, that entrepreneurs started over 774,000 businesses in the year ending in March. But what they projected was about 20% will fail in the 2 years, and probably 45 to 50% they said probably would fail in 5 years. And they said probably roughly 60% would fail in 10 years. And man, what blew me away was they said only 25% of the new businesses started make it past 15. And so the reason why that just so much impacted and stayed on my mind is because as Chef Jeff Catering, we're moving into our 16th year, man. And, you know, we looked at even with COVID, over 32,000 restaurants have closed as of August 31st. And so many of them are still, that number's still climbing. And so that's what makes these numbers impacting to me, because we're still around, you know, and we're not sure what COVID's going to bring, but we have done something that I believe has been the key to our success for staying around. So I know you've seen my bio and all that kind of stuff, but I just really want to take you on a journey that I hope will inspire you and move you beyond yourself so that you would lead beyond yourself and make your business a legacy that impacts lives and brings freedom to people and will influence people from all walks of life and backgrounds. So to get started, there's a couple of points I wanted to bring out, and that's what is this leading beyond yourself thing looking like? And hopefully you'll take away how to be a contagious influencer and the importance of the give back. And I call it not giving back, but the give back, putting one of those into your business. And then, of course, you know, people have asked me all through the COVID, how do I start? How do I get involved in this? So before Chef Jeff Catering, you know, I started with Ted Cook's, and this was a family restaurant. And what I learned about this family restaurant was there was a lot of giving of self, and there was a lot of sacrifice. Being at Ted Cook's 19th hole, we were a hole in the wall. Man, we cooked with real fire, no smoker, no walking away. As a matter of fact, you know, I got fired about 3 or 4 times, man, for burning up the place from my family. And not only me, but other people. But, you know, because family loved each other and stuff like that, they would bring me back. But there was a time when they said, hey, Chef Jeff, or Jeffrey, I was called then. They said, you know what, maybe you should see if you like this business and do something else. And so that started my journey into other restaurants. And what I found was this camaraderie. I love the business of teamwork. I love the community. But at that time, I was really doing a lot of stuff. I was pretty much running the streets and working. You know, I was brought up by a great mom who is my hero, 2 sisters. My mom made sure we were fed, you know, we had clothes, we went to church. But the bottom line I had was I never had no role models, no male role models or anybody that would show me how to succeed in life, I guess legally. So I did run the streets, and I did a lot of that stuff. I've seen a lot of things that I would never repeat. Seen a lot of things that I shouldn't have saw or nobody should have saw. But the thing about it is that, you know, being a statistic of fatherless home was really impacting my life. And I found a lot of what I called at that time great camaraderie with those people out there, people that seemed to care about me. And so I had this thing in my heart that I always want to help people, but I just didn't know how to do it the right way, you know. So fast forward, you know, what happened was I had a child, my daughter Amber, my first child, and all of a sudden it sunk into me that, man, I got to take care of this. And the only people I've seen were these jokers out on the street, and they weren't being good fathers, man. They weren't taking care of their kids. They weren't doing anything. And so I didn't want to be like that, because I learned from my family, you take care of family. So that was a wake-up call for me. You know, it was a big wake-up call that, man, I got to be around some better people, or people that will help me do better and stay out of jail and stay out of trouble and all that other stuff. So my other wake-up call was going into treatment. And once I got into treatment, I realized, oh my gosh, man, here's another group of people that don't even know me, that really wants to help me. And man, they poured into me all kinds of information. Man, I mean, sometimes, it was soul to soul, heart to heart. They were helping me to get out some stuff. But I realized once I got out, man, there was nothing for me. I had lived this life. There was nothing. It was so destructive. It seemed like it was irreversible. It seemed like I could never come back to getting anything positive. But I had one thing good going for me is I had a family that loved me. They never rejected me, no matter the hurt, the pain that I caused. And they helped me get on what I call this moral compass. And so getting on this compass, man, and starting to figure things out was so hard to do. So all of a sudden, it was like, I got to work, man. I really got to work. And so when I moved fast forward and out of all this junk in my life, I ended up getting hired at Nicollet Island Inn. And this is the job that saved my life. This was where I found a lot of what I call learning, growing. This is where I learned about the industry and what I learned about teamwork, what I learned about strangers coming together and misfits coming together to support one another. Nicollet Island Inn really had a high level of service. And the first leader that I ever saw that could just take a group of misfits and bring us all together to perform such a high level was the general manager. I just really admired him. And even though I went through like, oh my gosh, man, all these chefs, like I said, 6 executive chefs, 13 sous chefs, because it was one of the hardest places to work at. It was one of those things where everybody still came together to do a job well done. And when I found out that, man, this job had so much freedom, all of a sudden, being at such a high level, the raises were great. I started finding out I could be more than just a cook, more than just a chef. I saw the waitresses and waiters making $600 in tips, man, on a holiday. And I'm like, how do you make that much money just in tips? And so it opened up my eyes to, man, you know what? There's a big world out here in the food business. And so I started treating Nicollet Island Inn like Amway. I'm saying, hey, man, I'm going to bring in my buddies from across the street. I'm going to bring in these guys that I know that ain't doing nothing. And we're going to get a job here. And you're going to be able to make some money. And you're going to be able to make a living for yourself without getting in trouble. And so that was my heart and my passion. And it started growing because I started getting into the training like, man, I want people to know what excellence is about. Because Nicollet Island Inn I want people to know good food. I want people to find freedom. And every day that I worked, what I found was freedom. So once again, I'm moving forward here, and Nicollet Island Inn from there, all of a sudden opened up so many doors of opportunities. And while I was there at Nicollet Island Inn, I was able to start things, and my heart started just kind of growing into, like, there's these teen kids that are at my church. They have no place to go. They don't have nothing to do. So I would try to do private jobs and bring them along. And I saw amazing results that they were knuckleheads coming into this church. They were knuckleheads running the streets. But every time I brought them to a job, all of a sudden, there they were. And the cool thing about it was there was 3 chefs out of all that time at Nicollet Island Inn that stood out, that really helped me. I mean, They helped me shape my attitude, because it was a crappy attitude. I mean, I did great work, but my boss would tell me, you have the crappiest attitude, anger issues, whatever. And I started wanting to change, because all of a sudden they didn't care about my job as much as they cared about what was going on outside of my life. And I thought it was amazing. I thought it was a trick, to fire me, because they knew my personal life. Then they probably would say, man, it's time to get rid of them. But these 3 chefs along the way, they helped me do jobs outside of the church. They helped me to start this passion I had for trying to help young people. And even when they quit, they still stayed in contact with me to see how I was. And all of a sudden, that's who I wanted to be. And so when you're looking at this, how do you lead beyond yourself? What I saw was, here is somebody passing a torch to me, a chef, that I'm passing to somebody else. And that leadership that they passed to me, and now I'm leading, and then they're leading. And all of a sudden, it just started grabbing me that, you know what? This is about really helping people. It's not really about just food. It's about taking advantage of your business and doing everything you can in your business to help people grow in their life. So, moving forward again, just kind of going through the day-to-day stuff, I just started looking at other things that I want to do in this business. And that was, man, let's make a training thing. And I was fortunate enough to get a job teaching teen parents in the inner city. And that was the most sometimes heart-wrenching. It was, how can you see teen parents from ages like 11 to like 21, and they're from broken families, and they have no dream, they have no vision, because everything's a survival mode. So all of a sudden, I just started feeling this compassion, and I started feeling, man, like my heart was hurting, because it's like, I was able to get out of the stuff I was in, and I was able to move into this position. And it just occurred to me that as a business, people have to work all day, 8 days a week, sometimes 5 days a week, 3 days a week. Most of their life is in a job. And we have to try to make, as an entrepreneur, I believe, your job a safe place for people and to move them. So what ended up happening is here I am teaching these teen parents, and all of a sudden I'm looking at, man, no skills. I'm looking at problems they have at home. I'm looking at, I lived in the neighborhood too. So I knew when the shootings were. I knew when, people got hurt. I knew a lot of stuff, but I knew over a meal, we were able to talk. We were able to kind of solve problems, but also building an entrepreneur component really gave them hope and drive. So, man, I took them on jobs with me. And one of the most outstanding jobs was at Colonial Church of Edina. 350 people, believe it or not, a 7-course meal with probably about 17 of my students. Blew everybody out of the water, blew me away, because I'm looking at, here I got a bunch of knuckleheads in class. But once you get them out there, man, here they are performing, man. And then the biggest thing is that here they are now dreaming. These kids would say, I think I can buy a house. I want to buy a house. They're not thinking about, man, let me just get these diapers for these babies. Let me just get this. They're looking at a dream. And all of a sudden I start realizing that's what happened to me. People came into my life, people supported me, and all of a sudden I had a dream. And so this was what Chef Jeff started evolving in, is that, okay, so we're going to make Chef Jeff a mission, man. If we make money, we hope to make money so we can keep the mission going. So what I found out, was that now people are coming aboard, and they're not just teen parents. There's people with problems and struggles. So at one time, a lot of times, I've had my family working with me that really supported me, my wife and my in-laws, my sisters. They always came, and they were always this nice core support for when I had other people that had struggles and problems. And it became a big community. And we would go out in the field and do banquets and jobs. And so it started occurring to me that we need a training program. We need something to train everybody that comes in the door and make them a leader, because if I can do it, and I see change in other people, I need all these people that have these problems to be a leader in their family. They need be a leader elsewhere. If they're a brother or a sister, they need to be some kind of leader, because when I first was out in the street, guess what? I followed all kinds of leaders that led me down to destruction. So Chef Jeff Catering just became this hub where we're going to just build positive leadership. And so it was kind of mandatory, when you come in, you're going to be a leader some kind of way. So we're going to empower you to do that. And so over the years, we try to put things in place. So what I found out was not only was people passing the baton to me so that I can lead, I was passing the baton. So one story that really stood out was this young man that came to my job, and his counselor said, hey, Jeff, I got a counselor. I want to place him, but he is not going to make it, but I just want to place him. So you can tell what kind of counselor that was, man. She didn't even believe in him. He came aboard, and he had a lot of problems. His whole family was on methadone, but he ended up, over the years working with me, was able to kick that, was able to buy a house, was able to get a car, so proud that he could, get a bank account. was such an influence on his alcoholic dad that his dad was one of those kind of persons that said, hey, you know what? We're just going to just kind of just do your thing. So do your thing. Not, my timer was going off, so that kind of distracted me. So anyway, so my thing is you're leading beyond yourself, and then how to be a contagious influencer. All in this, I think you've seen that. If you're yourself, you will be influential. If you're honest, you'll be influential. If you're consistent, you'll be influential. If you're a business, you will be influential, and you'll influence people to follow you or be like you or want that freedom you got. The importance of give back is the biggest thing that we have. We give back to our clients. We give back to our employees. We give back to our community. And this is the key thing that has sustained us all through the COVID, because we gave so much to everybody. People came along and gave to us. And I believe these 16 years has sustained us, because as we gave and gave sacrificially and from our heart, people surrounded us and would give. And this is what sustained us. How do you start? Number one, just be honest. Just be honest with yourself. Take an inventory. See what your business is doing. How do you influence your community with your business?